Lowe's. Find the right flooring for the job in Lowe's newly redesigned flooring showroom. Shop our expanded assortment of trusted brands and get up to 35% off style selections, Stainmaster, and Stainmaster Pet Protect Special Order Carpet. And while you're here, save $100 on a DeWalt 20-volt max 6-amp-hour 2-pack of batteries. Now just $179. Get more of what you need faster and save more where it counts from the ground up. Our best lineup is here at Lowe's. Valid through 8/26 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Chronic migraine, 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more, can make me feel like a spectator in my own life.
Botox, onabotulinum toxin A, prevents headaches in adults with chronic migraine. It's not for those with 14 or fewer headache days a month. It's the #1 prescribed branded chronic migraine preventive treatment.
Prescription Botox is injected by your doctor. Effects of Botox may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away, as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Side effects may include allergic reactions, neck and injection site pain, fatigue, and headache. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Don't receive Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions, including ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects.
Why wait? Ask your doctor, visit BotoxChronicMigraine.com, or call 1-800-44-BOTOX to learn more.
Welcome back to Marvel Us Disney, the podcast where we talk about the goings-on at one of the more dynamic divisions of the Walt Disney Company, which is, of course, Marvel Entertainment. I'm entertainment writer Jim Hill, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, the dynamic Dan Graney. Dan, I have spent this entire weekend inside of the Anaheim Convention Center, and I've been strong. I haven't actually bought a whole lot. I did get a copy of Joe Rohde's new book, but man, you got to be strong at an event like this.
Yeah, I was curious. I was hoping you'd bring us some sort of live report from D23. So, I mean, I've been following along at home. I watched the live stream that they showed on Disney Plus last night, hosted by Neil Patrick Harris. But let me ask you, how does it compare being there in person versus reading about it secondhand, like the rest of us?
Well, it's so interesting you say that, because I have yet to actually make it into the Honda Center. However, I work with very smart people, including yourself, and Eric and Lauren Hersey were staying at the Sheraton across from the Anaheim Convention Center. And when, again, it's just the Honda Center is big, but it's still ran out of seats. And what the Herseys decided to do is, when they saw that particular presentation was being live streamed, they went to their hotel and said, "You have corporate function rooms, right?" "Yes, we do." "Yeah, and they have giant, flat screens, television there." "Yes, they do." "And, places for multiple people sit down and view a presentation." "Why, yes, they do." And they arranged for us to watch the broadcast, in the conference room, and Len ordered in pizza. And so we sat there in comfort and watched the show, unlike the poor people in the Honda who had to take the bus over 2 hours in advance, and then sit there and hope that you were close up to the stage to see what was going on. But it was definitely an interesting presentation, and there's a lot of, cool stuff headed away, which we will discuss on today's show. But first, we have to acknowledge our sponsor, which is BRGuestVacations.com. And are you headed down to Orlando anytime soon? If so, let the experts at BR Guest Vacation do the hard work for you. They can book your hotel room. They can line you up your theme park tickets. BRGuestVacation.com takes the hassle and frustration out of planning a trip down to Orlando or Anaheim or or a cruise. So whether you head to the Universal Orlando Resort or the Walt Disney World Resort, to learn more about what they have to offer, check out beourguestvacations.com. Okay, now we have some other stuff that was actually revealed at the entertainment presentation here at D23, right?
Oh yeah, and it was all happening. They were dropping them on YouTube. We got new trailers for Doomsday, which I believe is very close to what they showed the audience in Hall H in San Diego for Comic-Con. We got we got the X-Men full cast reveal. We got a Vision Quest trailer finally, and Ahsoka season 2. Plus, we also have something that we're going to talk about that would have sounded like a joke a decade ago, and actually was a joke, and will now be an actual published piece.
We'll get to that one last. It deserves the closer treatment. But first, tickets for Doomsday. Have you grabbed yours yet? Because they're actually filling up that first weekend of theaters already.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Doomsday first, because the new trailer answers a few things we've been chewing on since episode 23.
Yes, it does. I mean, it opens with Doom himself sitting on a throne, almost certainly in Kaffel Doomstadt, there in Latveria. Okay, and the floor in front of him is glowing green and tracing lines around that are etched in the ground like a massive glyph. And so it's comic accurate. And because what? Doom has always split his power between science and sorcery, and this is a movie that's finally fully putting that on screen?
Yeah. And it's we get Sue Storm has a voiceover at the opening of this, and this is one that's actually been playing elsewhere too. For anybody who's watching the Doomsday countdown clock on YouTube, this audio has been looping over and over, I think about every 70 minutes.
And to quote, what's said on this voiceover is, Victor was always the smartest guy in every room. He used to be different. He used to be kind. He used to be caring. But then everything he loved was taken from him.
Yeah, and that is a fuller version of a line we had only heard a fragment of before. But in this new trailer, we get the rest of it in context. And then you have a fairly emotional Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards confronting Doom directly. And he uses his first name like they've got a real history. He calls him Victor, which lines up with the theory that this is the version of Victor from Earth 828, which would be the same reality as the Fantastic Four's own Earth. So, making his encounter with baby Franklin Richards at the end of First Steps might feel a little bit more ominous in hindsight.
Absolutely. And here's the part that actually settles something for us. There's a shot of Doom looking at a tapestry, which features a woman and a child, right as Sue delivers the last line. Her follow-up is even more pointed. I knew he was lost, but I did not realize that he was broken.
That's right. And in episode 23, we did lay out 2 readings of that mural poster that they've unveiled. His mother from the classic Mephisto storyline, or a wife and child. At the time, I had mentioned the wife and child just felt like the stronger motivation. Obviously, the dead mother is sad, but it doesn't usually make a man try to rewrite reality. Everything he love, take it all at once. That's a wife and child. And that's the read the trailer is actually pointing to.
Which I have to admit is a stronger emotional engine than, say, the mother angle.
Yeah, and it's not the only callback this trailer pays off. Remember the living stolen lives montage that everybody's been picking apart. We see Scott Lang with Cassie. We see Thor with Love and Magneto and Xavier side by side. And then Johnny Storm right there clutching Franklin.
And Steve Rogers is in that montage too, with his son.
Yeah, his son, not a baby or maybe a nephew, but his son on screen. I mean, there's no more hedging. And that's the exact thread we pulled on with Haley Atwell's non-answer a couple of weeks ago. And looked like Doomsday just answered it for her.
And speaking of answered, I have to ask you, we get in this trailer our first taste of Robert Downey Jr.'s voice for Victor Von Doom. Well, what did you think?
I mean, I think he worked on this. It is almost, it doesn't get too showy or campy. It is almost understated, and I've noticed a few people who don't realize it's Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah. But speaking of the lines that Victor speaks in the trailer, Doom's own line ties it together. He tells them that, again, they're living stolen lives and that they need to give them back, which then supports the idea that whatever damage Endgame's time travel did to the multiverse, Doom sees himself as the one who's now correcting it.
Yeah, and then the trailer just kind of goes for it from there. He shrugs off Thor swinging Stormbreaker, as we saw previously, but a little bit longer this time, and says, well, hell answers to me, for I am Doom, while raising an entire army of fallen Sentinels out of the ground.
Yeah, just, a perfectly reasonable response to the situation. And by the way, I can add to this from firsthand because I just, in fact, today walked through the Marvel booth at the D23 Expo. And by the way, it's a resurrection of the TVA experience that they did at the 2024 version of D23, and just like that, at that time, Miss Minutes herself greeting you at the door, and then she walks you down the hall.
All right, that sounds fun. What's actually in there, though?
Well, some interesting decorating choices. We have Doom's throne, full size, there in person, and then we have some Avengers costumes from the film, and also tucked in one of the halls, the actual floor plan of the X-Mansion, labeled Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters.
Now, I had that filed under X-Men, but this is part of the Doom walkthrough.
Yeah. And that's the mix-up that everyone online is making. It has nothing to do with the X-Men reveal. It's tucked inside Doom's own experience this whole time, and by the way, this is not a new display, not new for the D23 Expo here, in Anaheim. Marvel showed off this exact same throne room and mansion set back at the Shanghai Expo. That was July, right?
That was July, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So they've been building toward this reveal for about a month now.
This is true. And you get to see 2 floors on the blueprint, mostly bedrooms and classrooms, but no basement shown anywhere on it. And that's where they keep the danger room, right?
Danger room, the jet.
There we go. Okay.
Cerebro. Yeah, I mean, people immediately jumped on that. Because either there's something Xavier doesn't want hidden down there, or the blueprint's just, I don't know, incomplete. But put it next to that Sentinel army rising out of the ground at the end of the trailer, seems like there might be some let's just say there's some areas that maybe weren't part of code for construction.
Excellent note. On the other hand, the betting pool online, well, there's many turning hands now about, well, how much of this mansion survives the first act of the film? but, which is a little dark, but probably fair, given who's coming for it.
Well, yeah, the fact that they just introduced a whole new cast of X-Men. But, yeah, I mean, we've got Doom's got a dead family. We've got stolen lives being mentioned, the Sentinel Army, and now a mansion with his name basically already on the deed. So, hey, look, comic accurate villain are comic accurate states, and he hasn't even thrown that first punch yet. So,
Now, you just mentioned that we got a brand new X-Men cast, who, by the way, showed up and were there full on stage at the D23 Expo.
Yeah. Okay. So you saw this. Lay it on us.
Okay. We got Sadie Sink as Jean Grey, which we already knew from Brand New Day, which, by the way, you saw that went over $2 billion worldwide.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. We got Kit Connor as Cyclops. We got Christopher Abbott as Professor X. We have Samara Weaving as Emma Frost, and then Indy Navarrete as Rogue. This follows Maya Boyd as Storm, and then Adam Driver, who appeared by video, as Mr. Sinister. And this arrives in theaters May 5th, 2028, with Jake Schneer directing.
And remember, this is exactly the reveal that we did not get out of San Diego Comic-Con. When Feige walked out of Hall H with nothing on X-Men, Emma Frost, that trickled out almost a week afterwards, kind of as an unofficial scoop. And apparently Marvel, D23 is where they wanted the real splash to happen.
Well, now it's interesting you say that, because Feige actually just today appeared, in a panel, in fact, to hype Leslie Iwerks' brand new documentary, World Builders. And it was talking about folks like Kevin Feige, who work at the Disney company. In fact, the other people who were showcased in the film were Peter Schneider at Pixar, Jennifer Lee at Disney Feature Animation, likewise Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni over at Lucasfilm. And speaking of Lucasfilm, Feige on stage told the story. It turns out Feige, it's well known that Kenneth Feige is a big Star Wars nerd. But what he revealed today is he's also a Disney theme park nerd. And he talked about that one of the seminal moments of his childhood where his two loves came together, Star Wars and Disney. So this is January of 1987 when Star Tours opened up. Right. And it was, the notion of, here's this brand new technological way that you got to live the story. And, and then, you would have loved this, Dan, but they showed footage of him walking the construction site of the Avengers Infinity Defense construction. And, he was just like, look how big this is. Oh my God, people have no idea how big this ride is. And, they're effectively doubling the size of Avengers Campus out in Anaheim. And, he's a grown man in a construction helmet with safety goggles on, and he's just giddy.
Oh, that's awesome.
But again, but for him, the notion is you get the bigger stage, you get the bigger crowd, and it pays off. And by the way, evidently they pursued Adam Driver for 5 different projects at Marvel, and this is the one they finally got him on. And Driver then goes on to say that he and Feige, again, admits it. We've been talking for years about joining the MCU, and they finally found something perfect with characters that he actually felt very deeply about.
And I think it's great because the easy, obvious choice. Everybody, when the buzz was out there about Adam Driver, I mean, Kevin Feige, he played it off really well. He goes, goes, "Oh, we always ask Adam Driver, and he always turns us down." He like went right past it. But everybody thought it'd be Magneto, and we talked about it. I was like, that's okay. It just seems kind of obvious, and I don't think we need to do it. We don't have to jump in to having Magneto automatically as the big bad in a new universe of X-Men characters. I mean, we'll get there. I think they will get there, but we don't need to do that now. And we'll see how they do it. But to have him be Mr. Sinister, that's the way to go. Now, Jim, you mentioned earlier that the reaction. I wanted to hear a little bit about the reaction because the enthusiasm, I should say. Do you think Marvel made the right play by stuffing all their eggs in this basket?
Well, it's people were excited by the casting choices, but it's been interesting to hear folks after the fact to the effect of, wow, they went young. I mean, that's a young cast. But at the same time, did you hear the chatter about Daphne Keane coming back potentially as X-23?
That is out there. The rumors of Angel and Iceman coming back. I mean, it's definitely not only young, but like the early X-Men.
Yeah. And again, stateside, rather than more of the international team. And what do you think this makes of Hugh Jackman?
I mean, see, that's the thing is that we are. I think they're going to keep Hugh. I mean, Hugh Jackman may very well end up just being in all the Deadpool movies from now on. I don't know.
Okay.
I know there is a video that they played, and it was Hugh Jackman, and Ryan Reynolds is in the background, like barking orders at him or yelling at him, and kind of in the same way that Ryan Reynolds appeared at Comic-Con as in his Jean Grey Deadpool costume.
Yes, still love that joke. Still love that joke.
But it is one of those things where it's like Wolverine as a character. I mean, Wolverine is supposed to be very, very old. So, I mean, if they want to bring him in.
Interesting note, today at that panel, the World Builders panel, Kevin Feige was flat out said there have been 10 X-Men movies today, all wonderful, but we have this new cast and, we're going in a new direction. So do you feel like with bringing Daphne Keane in to do X-23, that kind of sidesteps the whole Hugh Jackman thing? Is that possibility?
I mean, I think it could be a very smart play. And they retain the character. We've seen X-23 in costume, in the comics. It's a great idea. And it does maintain a little bit of continuity there.
Sure.
Because put it this way. They're fine with the fact that they just announced this whole new cast while the old cast haven't quite exited the building yet. I'm pretty sure they're not going to have a choice the way Doomsday looks like it's going down. But, we see James Marsden. We see, Sir Patrick. So we see all the characters, that we all know from the very beginning. They don't do the same thing. Wolverine is a totally different. I hate to say it, but he's a totally different beast. So this could be a way to just kind of dodge that. Now I'll take that trade, but that is a strong thought that's out there. But There's another theory going on around that brand new day quietly kind of set up, which would be an eventual Avengers versus X-Men story. Not the one that I think we're going to see a little taste of in Doomsday, but this one being, Spider-Man standing in for Tony Stark.
Really? How so?
So Spider-Man invented those power inhibitor chips in Brand New Day, the ones that Damage Control used to torture Jean Grey. That's basically his own Ultron lesson. A hero's own tech is getting turned into a weapon against people like Jean, and if the X-Men ever find out who built that tech, that's a legitimate reason for them to be furious with the X-Men.
Oh, and now, mind you, Jean and Spider-Man ended Brand New Day on good terms. So, wow, there's an actual bridge character sitting right in the middle of that conflict. If Marvel wanted to use Jean Grey in that way, right?
Yeah. We've got a full cast, a mansion lined up as a battlefield, thanks to, the segment before this one. There's a plausible reason for the X-Men to, hate Spider-Man and by proxy his affiliation with the Avengers before they even meet properly. So the universe is going to be complicated in the best way.
Pros, find the right flooring for the job in Lowe's newly redesigned flooring showroom. Shop our expanded assortment of trusted brands and get up to 35% off style selections, StainMaster, and StainMaster Pet Protect Special Order Carpet. And while you're here, save $100 on a DeWalt 20-volt max 6-amp-hour 2-pack of batteries. Now just $179. Get more of what you need faster and save more where it counts from the ground up. Our best lineup is here at Lowe's. Valid through 8/26 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Chronic migraine, 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more, can make me feel like a spectator in my own life.
Botox, onabotulinum toxin A, prevents headaches in adults with chronic migraine. It's not for those with 14 or fewer headache days a month. It's the #1 prescribed branded chronic migraine preventive treatment.
Prescription Botox is injected by your doctor. Effects of Botox may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away, as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Side effects may include allergic reactions, neck and injection site pain, fatigue, and headache. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Don't receive Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions, including ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects.
Why wait? Ask your doctor, visit BotoxChronicMigraine.com, or call 1-800-44-BOTOX to learn more.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Listening to this podcast instead of doom scrolling? Smart move. Another smart move? Getting help from one of State Farm's 19,000 local agents when you choose to bundle home and auto. Bundling, just another way to save with the Personal Price Plan. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
And speaking of things getting complicated, let's head into White Vision's own head, which, if that trailer is any indication, is exactly as strange as it sounds.
The Vision Quest trailer, this one's a mood shift from Throne Rooms and Sentinels.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it opens with White Vision asking who he even is. I mean, his exact line, I was an Avenger, but I'm not a hero anymore. I have his face, but not his virtue. And all I have is his name. And so am I reading that trailer right? That this whole thing takes place inside his mind, which is then built to look like a mansion?
We've got a mansion full of old MCU AI characters. I mean, it's a fun idea. We've got James Darcy, who's back as Jarvis, who we've seen, we saw him briefly in during the Time Heist. We also saw him in Agent Carter. But then we see the physical manifestation of Friday and James Spader returning as Ultron, but in human form this time. So, playing the role of White Vision's own creator, working through what the internet's already calling some robot daddy issues.
And let me just say here, I keep forgetting, what an amazing performer James Spader is, but watching him in this trailer just rip it out from under, everybody, I cannot wait to see this. But, by the way, one quick piece of deep cut trivia worth having in your pocket. Vision's original creation drew on the body of the very first Human Torch, right? Jim Hammond. Mm-hmm. And this was the 1939 android, and this part's true, killed Hitler in the comics. That connective tissue is exactly the kind of thing that a show literally said inside of Vision's memories was built to explore.
And that's, I love that. Also, this is a character, we sort of saw in the first Iron Man during the Stark Expo. In the foreground, before they see Howard Stark hit the stage doing his best, Howard Hughes, we see the android Jim Hammond. Now, the thing about this is that in addition to that, addition to all of these AI and android characters, there is another character in this. Rod Malika is playing, and he's playing a character called Thomas Shepard, and it's generally shown that this is the body carrying Tommy Maximoff's soul, which would be Wanda's other son, which pays off exactly what Agatha all along set up, because Billy, you might recall, spent that whole season looking for his twin brother.
And that's a real answer, not just a tease. And it's part of a bigger pattern. The scooper Alex Perez is claiming that WandaVision, Agatha All Along, and Vision Quest are essentially mandatory viewing before Secret Wars. His word is, it's not an exaggeration to call these 3 Disney Plus limited series required homework. So in a way, this also loops back to something we banked in episode 23. We talked about those Latvian witch costumes that were shown on the Comic-Con floor. The ones, we mentioned this might even need its own segment. We may not need a full segment, but this is the connective tissue. If Wanda's magic, the runes, the witch's road are all essential Secret Wars lore, then that whole witch coven at Doom's side, that stops looking decorative, and that starts looking more like foreshadowing?
Oh, yeah. Well, especially because in the comics, after House of M, Wanda spends a stretch as an amnesiac, literally in Doctor Doom's care. So if Marvel's pulling from that storyline, that banked witches thread might be exactly where Wanda ends up.
Wow. Well, that's a much better home for that theory than, honestly, we gave it credit for.
Yeah. So, we've got Vision relitigating his own soul. Tommy Maximoff is back. And the witches we kind of shrugged off episode or so ago might be carrying half of Secret Wars on their back.
We may need to owe those witches an apology. And speaking of owing an apology, again, we were talking about the TVA walkthrough at the D23 Expo. And honestly, folks, one of the reasons I got in line for this thing is I saw people clutching a comic book after they left, and it had a big Doctor Doom up in the corner, and there was Shuri, and there was Captain Marvel, and and I thought, it's something leading into Doomsday, and so I got in line and I made my way through the building, and I picked up a copy of this comic book and only then rolled it over and looked at the back, and it said, compliments of Marvel and Visa. And it's like, what? And only just now, before Dan and I started recording this week's edition of Marvelous Disney, to actually read the thing. And it turns out, that Victor Von Doom, at his warm-up for Battle World, evidently decided that what he really wanted was all of our personal information. And in fact, it starts off with Johnny and Sue Storm, weird activity going on in New York City where, people, oh my God, someone's hacked my account. And Johnny admits that, this happened to me last week, but I reported it to my bank. And Sue, and then it's the next 6 pages of Sue like, well, that was a very smart thing to do, Johnny, because, you have to protect your account. You have to have strong passwords. And, it was one of these things, but you promised Dr. Doom's on the cover, so.
Yes, and in the immortal words of Ralphie in A Christmas Story, a crummy commercial.
That's right. Drink Ovaltine.
Be sure to drink your Ovaltine. That's right. What you got.
On the other hand, also on the floor at the D23 Expo, Dan, the folks at Lucasfilm had an amazing booth where they had all sorts of costumes and props on display for Ahsoka season 2. And by the way, as part of this event, we actually also got a trailer and a date for when the new season of the show goes live, right?
That's right. It's in January 20th, 2027. So January.
Yeah. All right. But more to the point, I'm doing the math here. It's now been 3 years since season 1. So, wow. A lot of expectations, a lot of, this has got to deliver the goods, right?
Oh, yeah. And I think they allude to that because right off the bat, we're back in Clone Wars territory with at least one flashback. We see Anakin and Ahsoka fighting someone in the snow who's got a double-bladed green lightsaber. Identity unconfirmed.
Okay.
Then we have Anakin himself also as a Force ghost on Peridia with a genuinely sweet line when he tells Ahsoka that he's always walking by her side.
Wow. And boy, Thrawn is not wasting any time.
Oh, no, not at all. He formally declares war on the Rebel Alliance, which sets up what's basically shaping into an heir to the Empire style confrontation. The kind of thing that could feed directly into the Dave Filoni movie that's still out there.
Hang on. I also have to tell you about this wonderful moment again at the World Builders panel, because again, Dave Filoni was there and Jon Favreau was there, and and they were talking about the use of technology in the future of storytelling, and he got started on, well, yeah, people keep asking me about, where Star Wars is going next, and what tech we're using. And, I can't tell them anything because I know exactly where Star Wars is going next, so, maybe you're not wrong here, straight into the Filoni movie.
Yeah. I mean, he's got the keys. The guy's got the keys.
Yeah. But we also got tastes of lots of other stuff for season 2 of Ahsoka with this trailer, right?
Oh yeah. We've got let's see. There's we saw the Night Sisters. There are more space battles. Admiral Akbar's back.
But what's going to be the actual mystery of the season? So you think it's the world between worlds stuff?
Okay, so that's where it gets interesting because Anakin tells Ahsoka that Baylan Skoll who was played by the late Ray Stevenson, he claimed knowledge of a power that could end wars. That's confirmation the two of them really did know each other, like Balin hinted last season. It sets them up chasing something enormous. Now, there's also a callback to the Mortis gods, and we have some kind of strange carved rock on Peridia that Ahsoka and Sabine, we see them investigating together.
Okay, so what do you think the actual emotional question of this season is going to be?
Well, I mean, one line that really stuck out for me was Anakin in his voiceover asking Ahsoka directly, "Are you a Jedi or not?" Because she walked away from the Order after the false accusation back in the Clone Wars days. Every signal in this trailer points toward her finally answering the question, kind of for herself.
All right. So do you think the whole season's riding on that one question?
I'll say this fast because we did cover this back in episode 23, but Ryan Gosling's Starfighter is still on the calendar for next May. And between that and Ahsoka, 2027 is really kind of shaping up to be an actual real Star Wars year.
Okay. So that makes it a very good year to still own a lightsaber.
Exactly. So, Thrawn's finally going to get his war. Ahsoka's, got her identity crisis. Balin's chasing something that could end all of it. So there's a lot of table set in this one trailer.
Okay. But speaking of a lot of stuff, again, as part of this D23 Expo, we learned three new special presentations coming from Marvel. We have a Werewolf by Night sequel, and we also have a Heroes for Hire team up, and then Strange Academy. And mind you, all these are rumored here for now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Strange Academy makes a lot of sense given how much magic we just spent a whole segment talking about. But there's more than that because we've got Angela Bassett's rumored return as Ramonda in Black Panther 3. I'm assuming this would be through the ancestral plane. Maybe she can get another shot at the Oscar. I really thought she was going to get it last time. Nothing against, and I am not taking away from Jamie Lee Curtis because she was wonderful. But man, Angela. Anyway, also rumored here, but plausible. She's talked publicly about wanting to come back.
Got it. There's also word that a Thor 5 now might actually be a Hercules movie with Chris Hemsworth taking a backseat to a new lead, and Hemsworth himself has supposedly said that Marvel's still trying to figure out, how several of its characters go next. So I guess nothing's locked.
Nothing's locked. Although Brett Goldstein is a very busy man, so we'll see. There's also a Secret Wars rumor. 3 completely new, never before seen heroes might join the Resistance Avengers lineup, according to Scooper, Alex Perez, once again. No names. So purely speculative, which automatically means that everybody knows who it is. I do not at all have a clue. I'm like, well, what does that mean? 3 never before seen. Out of all?
That makes me crazy. We also have a fuller picture of what happened with Wonder Man's cancellation. Again, our second season that now will never be. Showrunner Andrew Guest went on TikTok to insist that, look, this wasn't a marketing stunt. The writer's room had been set to start this month when production was going to start early next year, and that evidently Disney and Marvel made an internal call that it didn't make much sense for them anymore to continue with the series, and that evidently no further explanation was given.
Yeah, that's a rough way to lose a show that just got its lead actor an Emmy nomination. So I don't know. I don't think we're done with the character of Wonder Man, but man, I don't know. But hey, on a lighter note, there is a fun Easter egg trail that is worth flagging. And this is in Brand New Day. Is the character of Cindy Moon, who also is known as Silk, has now she's quietly cameoed all this time through Homecoming and Infinity War and Brand New Day.
And same character, 3 movies, but a new actress this time around, right? That's not an accident. That's Marvel soft launching Silk in plain sight.
I think it's worth watching this space.
Okay.
Yeah. But Dustin Daniel Cretton's also confirmed, finally, for Shang-Chi 2. And he told the Wrap that he intends to actually resolve those dangling post-credits threads from the first movie, the one with Wong and Captain Marvel and Banner all gathered around as they are, and Zhu Xiling, who is taking over the 10 Rings.
All right. Well, that's good because, typically that's just the kind of loose plot thread that a franchise usually leaves hanging.
Yeah, and that's one that that's a movie that I know a lot of people have been kind of clamoring for. It's like, hey, what gives? And that one's a bit of battle, but I think Dustin is probably getting a little. I think more people are going to be taking his calls right now, based on Brand New Day. Last one, Chris Evans actually opened up about why he finally came back. It turns out that he had fielded at least a dozen different pitches over 8 years. And he turned every one of them down. And it wasn't until he heard Robert Downey Jr. was talking to Marvel again that he said that it finally felt right.
Well, sometimes persistence pays off.
Pros, find the right flooring for the job in Lowe's newly redesigned flooring showroom. Shop our expanded assortment of trusted brands and get up to 35% off style selections, Stainmaster, and Stainmaster Pet Protect Special Order Carpet. And while you're here, save $100 on the DeWalt 20-volt max 6-amp-hour 2-pack of batteries, now just $179. Get more of what you need faster and save more where it counts from the ground up. Our best lineup is here at Lowe's. Valid through 8/26 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Chronic migraine, 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more, can make me feel like a spectator in my own life.
Botox, onabotulinum toxin A, prevents headaches in adults with chronic migraine. It's not for those with 14 or fewer headache days a month. It's the #1 prescribed branded chronic migraine preventive treatment.
Prescription Botox is injected by your doctor. Effects of Botox may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away, as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Side effects may include allergic reactions, neck and injection site pain, fatigue, and headache. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Don't receive Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions, including ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects.
Why wait? Ask your doctor, visit BotoxChronicMigraine.com, or call 1-800-44-BOTOX to learn more.
All right, so there you have it. That is the grab bag. 3 rumors, 2 confirmations, 1 very honest Chris Evans. So I think we should get on to something that we might have been saving.
Okay, go ahead, Dan. You've definitely earned this one.
All right, this is the one, Jim. You know that bit from Parks and Rec. I hope you do. Patton Oswalt, his character, Garth, filibustered a city council meeting with this incredible unbroken rant about every franchise secretly existing in one shared universe. And then he had Star Wars, Alien, Terminator, all of it.
Oh, you're talking about, the Park and Recs episode, Article 2. It's an absolute classic, and what I love is there's actually an extended cut floating around out there online, Patton just, unleashing, and it runs even longer than the version that aired, right?
So much. In fact, you can see that the background, and the main cast all start looking at each other like, he's not stopping. Do we keep acting? It was a joke, and the whole bit really worked because it was just this insane, impossible pitch. And there have been people who even did their own rudimentary animation to tell this story. But here's the thing, Jim. Some of what Garth said back in 2013 has actually come true since. Jon Favreau himself has confirmed that Garth's bit about Boba Fett crawling out of the Sarlacc pit directly inspired the real Boba Fett return in the Book of Boba Fett.
So not fan theory. That's literally Favreau on the record admitting that.
Absolutely. And there's a smaller one, too. When Garth starts talking about Thanos collecting the Infinity Stones across both universes, the camera actually cuts to Chris Pratt's character in the crowd, totally locked in. Obviously, Pratt would go on to play Star-Lord in the same movie they gave us, Thanos' first real MCU appearance.
That's a little eerie when it comes to hindsight, right?
All right. So when I say half of Garth's pitch just became real, I mean that literally, because Star Wars and Marvel are doing their first ever official crossover, and it's not a gimmick. It's a full 5-issue comic series called Hope Assembles.
And this is being written by the really for real Kevin Smith of Clerks fame, with art by David Marquez, and correct me if I'm wrong, launches January 2027. It is timed for the 50th anniversary of the original film, and we're going to get 1 issue a month, 5 in total, and if that's correct, ending in the month when we get the 50th anniversary edition, the original Star Wars movie, back in theaters.
That is absolutely correct. And I mean, this isn't a cute cameo. It's a real crossover. We got Chewbacca, Han, Luke, and Leia actually crossing into Marvel's main Earth 616 universe. Through what's being described as a reality-shattering spell. And they meet Captain America and Black Widow and Spider-Man and the Hulk. And then we have Dr. Doom and Marvel's Rogues Gallery teaming up with Vader and the Empire.
And it's even bigger than just those leads, too. The connected covers show Avengers, X-Men, Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, even Deadpool teaming up with Luke, Han, Leia, Chewbacca, and Obi-Wan. And meanwhile, Vader and Grand Moff Tarkin are running with Dr. Doom, Thanos, and Venom on the other side.
Yeah, Jim, this is a crossover. This is basically dumping over an entire toy box onto the floor.
Wow. And Smith's own quote is that he had a Marvel Star Wars comics subscription back in the early 80s and always wished that Spider-Man or Dr. Doom could cross over into that world, and now he's the guy who's writing it.
And this is my favorite detail, though. And it's a real callback for us, because on episode 22, we talked about C.B. Cebulski leaving as editor-in-chief and Stephen Wacker taking over. You remember that?
I do.
Okay, so both of them have quotes on this. Cebulski calls it one of his proudest moments on the way out the door, and said Marvel's wanted to do this since getting the Star Wars license back over a decade ago. And Wacker, who's the new guy, says Star Wars and Marvel's histories have been intertwined for 50 years, and this is finally paying that off.
So the outgoing editor and the incoming editor both get to put their names on the same headline. That's a nice bow on a story that we've been tracking since, Cebulski first stepped down, right?
It really is. And honestly, it's a good note to end on. I mean, 2 weeks ago, the idea of Star Wars and Marvel colliding was kind of a punchline. But I mean, here we are, and this is an actual solicited comic with a really for real live release date.
Wow, Han Solo and Doctor Doom exist in the same sentence now. I don't even think Garth got that specific with his rant.
He'd be insufferable about being right, but he'd be proud. And I am waiting for Patton Oswalt to speak up, because I imagine he'll be doing something. He's got to say something.
All right. I just have to ask here before we close out. Have you ever heard his piece of stand-up about the prequels? That.
Oh, yes. Yes, I did.
All right. Not family friendly, but fiendishly funny. So, all right. So, anyway, what a week to have been covering this beat. A Doomsday trailer that actually answers our very own theories. A full X-Men roster. Vision finding out who he really is. Ahsoka asking herself the very same question. And Star Wars and Marvel officially in the same universe.
And right now, somewhere at Lucasfilm and Marvel, both, there's probably somebody plotting the next thing to drop as soon as I hit stop on this machine.
Yeah, that is the world that Mr. Graney and I live in. But that said, Dan, if folks have enjoyed listening to you tonight on Marvelous Disney, well, where else can they find you?
You can find me on the Hububbery, HUBBUBBERY. We just recorded our second episode in a new show that we have called Shelf Life. And we basically talk about physical media. Hunter and I are your physical mediators. We have a special guest on this one. And we talk about the double dip. I'm sure, Jim, as a physical media type person, you are familiar with the double dipping that happens, when movies get released again and again and again. And I talk about one of the most dipped movies, one I have personally been guilty of purchasing, Star Wars. And I talk about the entire history of releases of Star Wars on media since 1977 with the Super 8 reels that I had as a kid.
Wow. And by the way, one last story related to this World Builders panel earlier today. It was Dave Filoni who was talking about, he believes one of the reasons that Star Wars connected in such a big way, pop culture wise, and with a certain generation of film goers was, well, think about it. It took forever for us to get a VHS of it, but we did have the option of buying the John Williams soundtrack, so that while we couldn't see the movie, we could hear the movie. And, he said that's why what's weird about Star Wars is people just consider the music so powerful. In fact, there was somebody who was noting just recently with the change out in Anaheim with the soundtrack from the original area music that had been built for Galaxy or recorded for Galaxy's Edge.
Which was beautiful. It was beautiful.
But that's the thing. It's one thing to, all right, this is lovely background music. On the other hand, to walk in and hear John Williams' score playing, and it's just, and again, the number of grown men who'd stop and tear up because it's like, I know this from my childhood, and now I'm finally here. So, but let's see, beyond that, as we wrap up the show here, we're going to be discussing D23 further on a lot of the shows that we have here at Jim Hill Media. Among those, including Disney Dish, the Disney Information Show I do with Len Testa, Fine Tuning with Drew Taylor. Of course, I I've been out here this past weekend with Eric Hersey, the gentleman I recorded the Epic Universe podcast. Likely his lovely bride Lauren, who does our I Want That Too podcast, and of course we've got the Case Forward with Chris Cox. And as Mr. Graney and I close up shop this week, I want to extend a huge thank to David Gray and Eric Hersey for the incredible job they do with editing and producing this podcast. And by the way, if you have been enjoying Marvelous Disney, could you please head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a rating and review? It genuinely helps folks find the show. Let's see. Beyond that, I guess I should let you know that I am over on social media-wise. I am over on X and Instagram as Jim Hill Media, and then also on Facebook as Jim Hill Media News.
Well, there you go. You've got all the places. So come on, people. Let's hear from you. Anyway, we do want to tell everybody thanks for listening, and we'll see them next time.
And Marvel Studios, come on, try to leave a few surprises for the next episode, okay?
And there'll be no promises from them either.